Welcome back to the Rock Fantasy Files. Tonight we set the time machine back to 1985. We're going to revisit 4 legendary thrash metal albums. It's a German versus USA thrash metal international battle. Made even more international because we have a very special guest tonight. We have the lead vocalist and guitarist, JC Necrohex from Phantom, joining us. And he's in my center square tonight. We just interviewed him on the channel, and that'll be coming up too. He's got a new album coming out on High Roller Records, and we'll talk a little bit to him about that. This episode was picked out by Obie, so blame him. And he's the guy that picked the 4 records tonight. And the albums we're going to be discussing tonight in alphabetical order. The first being Infernal Overkill, which is the debut studio album by German thrash metal band Destruction. It was released on May 24th, 1985. The second album we're going to discuss tonight is Endless Pain. It's the debut studio album by the German thrash metal band Kreator. It was released in October 85 by Noise Records. The third album is Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. It's the debut album from American thrash metal band Megadeth. It was released on June 12th, 1985 on Combat Records. And the fourth and final album we'll be discussing tonight is Feel the Fire, the debut studio album by American thrash metal band Overkill. It was released on my birthday, October 15th, 1985 on Megaforce Records. So we're going to talk about those 4. We're going to rank the albums tonight. We're going to pick out our favorite and our least favorite, talk about a couple songs from each. Of course, I'll go around the room and welcome everyone in tonight. We got Obie staying all night. He's our vampire in Norway. We got James Delisle from Disc and Dat Records and Crucial Pain. We've got Count Ralphus, our local metal historian here. We got Ed Farsley from Armageddon Productions. We got Tony Dio. And Tony Dio has a YouTube channel now. We'll talk about that. Don't let me forget about that tonight. We've got John McEntee from the mighty Incantation. And, of course, in my center square tonight, we've got JC Necrohex from Phantom. So
cheers.
Good to see you guys tonight. And let's chat on the time machine of 1985. We just did an episode on the Sea of Tranquility, me, Ralph, and Tony, on Monday, which featured a couple of these, well, at least one of these records or 2 of these records. The other
Overkill was the only
well, just the Overkill. We've been doing so many of these, it seems like it was more than one. But anyhow, since Obie picked this episode, I'm going to make him bat first tonight, and we're going to go and tell us our number 4 and number 3, and we will go around for number 1 and number 2. Denny's not here to keep score, so that means I got to do math. Denny traveling the world and not hanging out with us at the moment.
All right, so I'll start with my number 4, which is going to be Kreator with Endless Pain. I like the album. For me, it's kind of a mix between Celtic Frost, a little bit of Judas Priest, and Venom in kind of the lyrical aspect. I have the songs that are a little frosty. I'm like, which is the most popular ones, I guess. It's not my favorite ones, but my favorite ones is Total Death, Living in Fear, and the best song on the album I feel is Dying Victims, because it starts like kind of melodic and then it's just full speed. It's like it's the hardest song on the album for me. I'll just go quick to my number 3, which is going to be Overkill with the Feel the Fire. I really like that album. I'm a big Bobby Gustafson fan. I think he's a phenomenal guitar player. As for the songs, they are more in the little punkish era still, I feel, on Feel the Fire. They don't like totally trash until I feel on taking over. And I feel like fully under influence, which is my favorite album of theirs. For the songs, I gotta have Rotten to the Core. I mean, it's a live staple, and it's just as good today as it was back then. I guess I was just 4 at the time, so I gotta talk to people that was a little older than me about that. Number 2 is Second Son. I think it's starting to have the more trashier part, a little less punky. And my favorite of the album is Kill at Command.
All right. So we got his number 4 and number 3. Thanks, Obie. I'm going to move over to, we're going from Norway all the way to the state of Connecticut and talking to James Delisle. What's up, James?
What's going on? So I'm going to put Kreator at my number 4 as well, just like Obie. I'm not a fan of this album. Just not into it. I feel like this is really like I feel like there's so many same songs on here where it's just like it's a lot of blast beating. A lot of the stuff to me is very monotonous and it ear fatigues me on this record. I'm also not that big of a fan of the German style of thrash metal. I think the American bands do it better and have always done it better. That's just my opinion. It's my ears listening to it. I know I'm going to get hung in the comments for saying that, but I don't give a flying fuck.
Poser.
There's one tune on here I thought was pretty good that stood out, and that was Riot of Violence. I thought Riot of Violence was kind of the standout track.
Wrong
Wrong album.
That's from Pleasures to Kill.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're doing Endless Pain tonight.
Oops. Sorry about that.
You've had too much of your green medicinal leaf or something today.
Well, it must, because here's the thing. I don't own the album, so I listen to it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And Riot of Violence was thrown in the album that I had.
The only song that Miller don't sing.
Right.
Oh shit. Well, there you go. I put that. I put this one at number 4.
Continue.
I feel like it's just not that great of a record. Number 3 is going to be Destruction, When Infernal Overkill. This one I like a little more. I remember having this on vinyl when I was a teenager, flipping through the vinyl section at my local record store in like 1997, and just kind of grabbing it because I thought the cover was cool, and the guy behind the counter was like, dude, if you like thrash, grab that. It's a fucking great album. And I just kind of think it's okay. Invincible Force is a good song. Antichrist is a good song. But they're just okay. There's nothing on this album that really blows me away and makes me want to go back and listen to it time and time again. I just think it's kind of okay. That's just me personally. I like the American thrash metal bands better, man. I know I'm going to get buried and hung and everybody's going to call me a poser, and that's fine. I'm prepared for it. It's cool. But there we go. That's my 4 and 3, Kreator and Destruction. I just kind of think they're okay.
All right. We're moving on to Count Ralphus right now.
All right. So I love all 4 of these albums. I hate having to put this at number 4 because it's already been twice now, but I love Endless Pain. It's a great album. It's raw as fuck. The production's not that great, but it's I hate putting it down so low, but I really love my first album I ever got by them was Pleasure to Kill. And I think I told the story before. Somebody that was older than me, they bought it as like a joke to bring to a party. It was like a high school party. And they wanted to put it in the box where everybody was partying, listening to Grateful Dead or whatever. As like a joke, they bought it just for that. And then the next day they were going to throw it away. And they were like, yo, give it to that kid Ralph over there. He's always wearing metal church shirts and stuff. So they came over and gave it to me. And I put it in. I fell in love with it right away. So that was my first one that I really loved. And then I went back and I got this version where it's got the 3 extra songs from Flag of Hate.
All right.
Like if you listen on YouTube, you get these songs on there. But I love this album. But like Terrible Certainty was my first time seeing them, so I really loved that album. And then I seen them. They did an in-store Rock Fantasy on the next album, Extreme Aggression. I got the roadie for a day and got to meet him and hang out and party with him and stuff. So that has a special place. So this is probably like my 4th favorite album by Kreator. But yeah, I had to put it back that far. It kind of sucks. But so then my number 3, I'm gonna go with my favorite Megadeth album, Killing Is My Business. Here's my original copy. Love this album. I think it's like Dave's most vicious vocals and his sound and all the time changes throughout this album. But I love how Dave's got more of a bite to his vocals and more aggression. He just sounds really pissed off from what Metallica did to him. And I mean, all the song, I love every song on this album. These Boots and Mechanics, those are the two that there was the whole thing with the Metallica song redone, but it was like his songs. He could have did a whole bunch of Metallica songs if he wanted to. But looking down the cross and the way the album starts with Love to Death, it's a fucking classic album. People are shocked that I always say I like this better than Peace Sells, but to me, this is their favorite. My favorite. It's their most vicious album. I love this album. Oh, and I have a couple original T-shirts from this time era that I can't fit into them.
Oh shit, man. I love that.
Wow.
Wow.
Holy crap.
And I got this one. If you ever see when they redid the album cover, I like this really raw looking album cover.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like something the band Phantom would put out with like that album
Much
cover.
better. That's much better than the reissue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they reissued. They kind of took this old design though from the 1985 shirt.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's very similar to what they ended up doing. And I always loved wearing this one back in the day for that. Live for metal, die for Megadeth.
That's awesome.
The older kids that gave me that cassette tape, they were just like, look at this fucking idiot with this shirt. Give him that fucking Kreator. Give him that Kreator album. He'll like that shit. Yeah, so that's my 4 and 3.
All right. We're gonna move over to the gentleman that just came from the Philly Beer and Metal Fest in Philadelphia, Mr. McEntee. How's it going on?
By Center Square.
Philly cheesesteaks and beer.
Yeah, we had some Philly cheesesteaks while we're out there. So it's pretty damn good, I have to say. Okay, well, what are we at?
I need your
This is a tough
4.
one for me. I mean, 3
Okay.
of these albums are my favorites of the bands that, it's my band's favorite album by them, so that's really tough. But my number 4 in this is Kreator Endless Pain, even though I love this album. And it just, to me, it's just a raw pureness to this, which makes it really awesome. It definitely was not them at their best. I think Pleasure to Kill was their best, easily. But this is it's a great album. I mean, I love all the songs on it. In a normal world, I'd probably have this up super, a lot higher. But you happen to put 3 of my favorite favorite albums by those bands on top of it, so I have no choice. So I have to go with Kreator Endless Pain as my number 4. And my number 3, this is a tough, really, really tough one for me, but I have to go with Overkill, Feel the Fire. I love this album. I used to play covers of Feel the Fire back in my old cover band back in the day.
Wow.
And this is, like I said, it's my favorite album by Overkill. I don't think they've ever captured that raw energy as well as they did on that. And it just seemed like they were just in a more darker metal kind of mode. It just that vibe, I guess, of the mid 80s where it just for me, thrash metal was really at its peak and the most aggressive and stuff. And of course, that's what I really like. And man, as far as a favorite song, I don't really have a favorite song because really all these albums, I love all the songs on the album. I mean, Overkill, Feel the Fire is pretty much perfect from beginning till end. I mean, for me, especially the Overkill, Megadeth, and Destruction album are all about 9.6, 7 or something like that, and for 1 to 10. So it's super difficult to choose. It's pretty much a perfect album, Feel the Fire, I think. I mean, like I said, there's no Overkill album I've ever heard that even came close to as good as this one.
Cool.
At least that's what I say.
That's what you say. That's a pretty damn good Overkill record. And
Hell yeah.
All right, so we got your 3 and 4. I'm going to move over. We're going to south of the border to see JC Necrohex. What's going on tonight, brother?
Hello.
Welcome to the Rock Fantasy Files.
Thanks. Well, first of all, this is a very, very tough decision because they are all great albums. I cannot choose. But in my number 4, I will put Feel the Fire by Overkill because even though it's a fantastic album and it has very cool songs like Hammerhead, Rotten to the Core, it's like in this place where I don't know, it's not my style. Like James said, it's it's a thing of taste, and I like it, but it's not up there in the aggressiveness for me. So I'll leave it in the 4th place. And it's very cool to see this specific year in thrash, like 1985, is very cool because I think it's in a spot where bands were still figuring out what to do. And it has like a bit of punk here, like a bit of classic heavy metal here. So it's like this weird mix of stuff where you can't really classify it. Like, of course, people throw in, okay, it's thrash metal because, yeah, it is, but it's in this very early stage with its like a very cool mixture of stuff. Then in my number 3, I have Infernal Overkill by Destruction. Another very tough decision because I love this album so much. I love Bestial Invasion, The Ritual, fantastic album. Death Trap is one of my favorite songs ever. The riffs there are insane, even though the production wasn't the best for this, but it's raw, so it's cool. And it's very influential for me. Most of the stuff I do for my band is inspired by this band's Destruction, Kreator, the German wave of thrash metal, Sodom. So it's an album I love so much, but I left in the 3rd place because then we got some serious shit with Megadeth. Killing Is My Business. It's the like who said that first? I think it was no, it was Count Ralphus. It's the most raw, most aggressive and furious album by Megadeth. It's the very pissed off Mustaine. Oh shit, I just noticed I'm like skipping forward to the.
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
I'm gonna say my full list right on.
We'll come back for you for your number 1 then.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
You can finish talking about your Megadeth since you're talking about it. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I'll leave it for later. I don't want to.
All right, leave it for later. Okay, cool. So, all right. So then we're going to move over to Ed Farsley, Armageddon Productions. What's going on, brother?
All right. How you doing, guys? Yeah, 1985. These albums are fucking fantastic. All 4 of them. Absolutely perfect. Got to start somewhere. Number 4 is Megadeth Killing Is My Business. This is the only real Megadeth album I love. I like Half a Peace Cells. Like songs or 2 after that, but this is the only Megadeth album I really like, and I love this album. I love the demo when it came out, and this album was fantastic. The demo versions are a little faster than the album, some of the songs, but this album is just great. Dave's voice, I love Dave's voice on this album. I hate Dave's voice on every other album. It's so whiny. But like JC was just saying, it's very aggressive, very angry. He sounds good on this album. The songs, great fucking songs. First 2 songs kick off the album, fantastic, and it just gets better from there. What we said, Last Rites. What do we got here? You don't want to do this here. Yeah, the album gets better. Last Rites, Love to Death, the title track. Scope Beneath the Skin is fucking even better. These Boots Are Made for Walking. I love it. I love the Nancy Sinatra cover. It's so fucking fun. Rattlehead, fucking Rattlehead and the Chosen Ones are fantastic. Looking Down the Cross, my favorite Megadeth song. And Mechanics, goddamn, Metallica could never play it that fast. Before fucking just a great album. I got to see Megadeth twice on this tour. First they came, they opened up for King Diamond at Lemoore, and then they came back and headlined Lemoore. Both shows were fantastic. Just an absolute great band. Number 3, Kreator, Endless Pain. As you've all been saying, it's a tough decision because this is a great album. I mean, I remember when this album came out. I mean, Sodom and Destruction were the first two German bands, of course, that really broke out of Germany. When this album came out, Kreator were a new band. They were so young. And to be quite honest, I remember dissecting this album when it came out because every song has a borrowed riff from Slayer, or Exodus, little Metallica. And I remember when the album came out, I was so familiar with those original albums that I just picked them out like, was it Total Death and Strike of the Beast? It's the only one I can really remember now. But like, it was so much. I mean, I love the album; it's fantastic. But it was like Overkill's Under the Influence. They just borrowed so many riffs from so many other bands and turned it into their own song. It was great shit, but it's still funny. I mean, after this album, of course, as John mentioned, a few of us, they put out one of the greatest albums of all time, which we will all talk about in depth next year.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, hold on before you go. I brought out a couple props. I have an old Megadeth flyer that Chris Poland signed.
Wow.
And of course, the original Megadeth vinyl.
Yeah.
From Kreator, I have the original Kreator vinyl, of course. And these were in Metal Warriors magazine out of Germany. 3 centerfold live shots of Kreator from 1985 in Germany. I cut them out of the magazine and hung them up on my wall in fucking 1985.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they still survived this day. They had them on the wall back then, and a lot of stuff didn't survive from the wall in '85 from us.
I was very careful.
Yeah.
They're filed away now.
I don't even see a pinhole on those.
Well, yeah. Pinhole and tape.
Cool. So you gave it, so you're Megadeth and Kreator for 4 and 3.
Yep.
We're gonna head down to North Carolina and visit with Tony Dio.
Hey, what's going on? So, got to start somewhere with this. I'm going to start with Kreator, Endless Pain. I like a lot of songs on this record. It's good. It's a really good record. I mean, Tormentor and probably Flag of Hate, probably my favorite 2 on here, which like Ralph mentioned a while ago, I got the deluxe CD as well. It's got the Flag of Hate extra tracks on it. But Storm of the Beast is great. I mean, I love Total Death. It's a good record, real good record overall. They got better with the next album, of course, and I think my favorite's probably Terrible Certainty. Then I'm going to go with Destruction next, which I don't have a hard copy of this one or a physical copy of this one. I have most of the songs are on this best of, but some of them are the live versions from Live Without Sense. But that's actually my favorite Destruction album cover. I do have that shirt that Count's wearing tonight. I got it when they toured. I saw them up at Jack's. I think when maybe the All Hell's Breaking Loose tour. I think it's when they came over to the States first time in a while. And I saw them. It was a great show. But yeah, I mean, just like the first 3 songs on there, Invisible Force, Death Trap, and Ritual. I love those, and of course Tormentor. But the instrumental Thrash Attack, I just love that one. That one's great. I think they definitely got better because Eternal Devastation is my favorite one by them, which came next. I just think they improved so much on that one. So that's going to be my first 2 picks.
Cool. All right. So I guess it's my turn now. That's a tough assignment. Obie ain't going to like me, because I've listened to these 4 albums the last few days, mixed in with listening to Phantom too. So I've been just interviewed him, so I've been listening to a lot of German thrash, and I'm going to go with Megadeth at number 4. I love Megadeth. I don't know if this is my favorite Megadeth album. I like it a lot, but I like Rust in Peace, I think, a little bit better. And but with what it's going against tonight, Megadeth is going to be in my 4 spot. Rattlehead, Last Rites. It's a good album, but I don't know. I listened to it today. I do not enjoy listening to it as much as I do listening to Destruction or Kreator or Overkill. So I put it at the number 4 spot. And my number 3, it's tough. I could flip a coin right now on it, but I'm gonna go with Overkill. I'm gonna go Overkill at 3. Love this album too. I agree with what John said. I think it could be, I don't know if it's my favorite Overkill album, It's definitely very close. I really like Taking Over a lot too. Taking Over, I thought was just a solid record. But I'm going to go with Overkill at 3. We just talked about Overkill the other night on Pete's channel. There's Still Tomorrow, just a killer song. The title track, of course. Hammerhead, Raise the Dead, and it's just and the song Overkill, which is like their Iron Maiden kind of. That's their theme song. But gonna go with Overkill at number 3. So I'm just the opposite of James tonight. I'm doing the US. I'm turning my back on my German heritage tonight. Cool. So I guess we're back to Obie. Obie will never talk to me again. I put his boys Megadeth at the bottom.
I'll send Dave on you.
You were afraid of that, of having Exodus this because you thought Exodus might defeat them too. So
well, they are in a different kind of league because they have a legendary status, and it's if you say Exodus, everybody gonna think Bonded by Blood. But these albums are underground classics. I feel more.
Okay.
They aren't as popular in the general public. So I feel these are more equal albums, so they are tougher to.
There you go.
choose.
All right. Just had to bust your chops a little bit there.
Yeah, that's all good. I'm just gonna tell the reason why too. So it's for me, number 2 is gonna be Megadeth. I don't know. Have you guys check out the Final Kill, the remix of that album?
No.
The remix of Killing's My Business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the
Yeah, I
Final
listened
Kill.
to it today. I actually listened to it today. It's the first time I've listened to it in quite a while, actually.
Yeah, because the Final Kill is like the remix, and the bass is more forward. It's much a tighter sound, so
It sounds better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I heard it on YouTube, and it definitely sounded a lot clearer than I remembered it.
Yeah. I remember I got this CD. I had stolen money from my mom's purse. I guess I remember we were on a vacation in some part of Norway, and I found it at the record store, and I bought it, and I had to like hide it for the whole vacation until I got back home. So I have a good memory of this album. As for the album, I think this album is kind of so cool because Dave, he did change his whole guitar style just to don't sound like he played in Metallica. He changed his whole lineup of riffs. He changed his whole rig. And I feel that to do that and completely wash away what you have done to up to that point is quite an undertaking to do. Also, the cool thing I think about this album, he got Chris Poland and Gar Samuelson on the drums, and Gar Samuelson is a jazz drummer, and the drum patterns and the drum thing is along with the guitar riffs, and it stands out with this album because there's no other thrash metal band that has a jazz drummer, and those jazz riffs, and I can't get over how fast Gar Samuelson play those jazz riffs, jazz drums. It's yeah. So for me, this is a really good album. I wish they used a little more money on the album than other stuff, but number 3 is going to be Last Rites, Loving You to Death. I think the piano piece is kind of like you don't think. I kind of imagine how was it for you guys to hear the album back in the day? They were like used from Dave Mustaine in Metallica, and then the whole album starts with piano, just like.
That was great. It was a great introduction.
Yeah, that's a great intro.
A lot of bands did that kind of thing. They did a nice little light thing, and then it hit you in the head with.
Hey, Obie.
It was crushing.
We were just talking about the budget for this record, and I took down some notes. The band was given $8,000 by Combat to record and produce the album. The band was forced to fire the original producer and produce the album by themselves after spending half of the album's budget on drugs, alcohol, and food.
Yep.
That's what I got off the internet. Whether it's all true.
Priorities.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And the song "Love You to Death." I mean, it's that riff is. I don't know. I gotta ask McEntee. Is it hard to play that "Love You to Death" riff? Because it's kind of intricate, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, almost all the riffs on that's really complicated. It's a good. It's good because they're complicated, but there's also a good flow to them and a vibe, which is really shows the mark of a good songwriter when they could make it intricate, but you don't really you listen to it. It's not so intricate, but when you really listen to it deeply and pay attention to guitars, you're like, holy crap, what is this guy doing? You know? So yeah, it's amazing songwriting on that. It's top notch for guitar playing.
Oh yeah.
Really everything, but top notch on guitar for sure.
Yeah. For number 2, I have "Looking Down the Cross," Ed's favorite. I think it's just such a drive to the song. I mean, it's kind of more of the more straightforward ones, a bit Rattlehead. And my favorite is "The Skull Beneath the Skin." I mean, that also has a guitar riff that is really good. And Chris Poland and Dave Mustaine together is kind of I wish they had priorities different because they were a dynamic duo.
Oh yeah.
And then I guess there is no surprise what's left for me. It's Destruction with Infernal Overkill, the first full album, thrash metal album given out of Germany. I guess they were lucky because if Sodom has gotten their album approved by the record label for the first recording, which you and the guys in the US got, and not the European one, they would have been the first ones out. So we are kind of lucky, I guess, because if you're going to do Obsessed by Cruelty in this year, we would be in a lot of trouble. For songs, I mean, Death Trap, it's monstrous. Bestial Invasion is also monstrous, but for me, the whole thing comes through to the end with Black Death. The Black Death is such I guess the most complicated song on the album, the one that has the most different riff, that ones that has the most kind of like you show what they have to give. I feel it's kind of a good step towards what the next album would be. Because of how it's built up, because of the length, because on the next album we have quite lengthy songs compared to the first one.
It's a longer track.
The problem, I guess, a lot with this is kind of probably going down to what James said, is because the production is the drums. They weren't really lucky with the drum sound on that album, and that's kind of annoys a lot of people. And but if you listen to High Roller, they did remaster it and kind of even it out, like in 2018. You might like that one better, James, because it's more EQ is more on spot, which I know you are a little into. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I want to get a copy of that anyway. I used to have it on cassette, and I'd like to get a physical copy. And the original is kind of pricey, but the High Roller might be the route to go on that if it sounds really good.
You get a big poster, and you can get like a really good edition of it, and it doesn't cost that much either. High Roller is a really good label because
they do very good
while you're on High Roller record label looking for that, make sure you order the Phantom album because they're on High Roller.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah, man. No, and also I'm sure if it was remastered at High Roller, it was probably remastered by Patrick Angel from Temple of Disharmony in Germany. That guy is a fucking beast, man. It rules. His work is excellent.
Yeah, High Roller has released the old albums from the first one up to the one that they say is without the vocalist. What's the Cracked Brain?
Yeah,
they have really remastered and they have given out with like a poster, and it's kind of like it's really. High Roller puts a lot of effort into their releases, and they sell it for a decent dollar too. So,
cool.
High Roller is a good place to be if you're into thrash.
And that's where Phantom and JC Necrohex is, High Roller. So it's great to have him on the episode tonight since we're talking about.
Thanks.
So So your number one is Destruction, number two is Megadeth, three is Overkill, and four is Kreator. Let's pick it over to James Delisle now and get his number one and two as we move through.
Well, here we go with the kind of thrash I like. I like my thrash fast, but with mosh parts and with lots of nods to the new wave of British heavy metal and with lots of hooks and lots of melody and catchy stuff going on. So my number two is going to be Overkill, Feel Fire. This is a killer album. Not a bad song to be had, like everybody else has said. Raise the Dead is so good. Great opener. Rotten to the Core is fantastic. I love Hammerhead and Feel the Fire and Blood and Iron. Those three songs all in a row are just so damn good. And yeah, this is one you can hear the Iron Maiden influence. You can hear the new wave of British heavy metal stuff coming through and you know what's going on with the current thrash scene with the fast riffs and the galloping and you know crunchy parts and fucking stomping parts. It's just so good, man. Killer album. Not my favorite Overkill album. My favorite one is Under the Influence, but I love this album. Great stuff. So that's my number two. Number one, shockingly, is going to be Megadeth. I've been listening to this album all day, every day for the past 3 days, and I can't get it out of the CD player. It's just so vicious. Every second of this album is even the goofy Nancy Sinatra cover at the end is just so good. And I think I like it even more because she hated it. And the mechanics is killer. I love the mechanics. It's awesome. But yeah, like Obie said, looking down the cross, so badass. Skull Beneath the Skin is supposedly, and I think I read this in Dave Mustaine's autobiography, that's the explanation of the origin of Vic Rattlehead.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. And yeah, last night's
that album cover.
Was that?
It kind of, I always like put it with the album cover, you know, the skull beneath the skin.
Yeah, that's basically the origin of Vic Rattlehead is that song.
I believe they got sued for that song because there's editions of Killing Is My Business where they have to beep out certain words in that song.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The song Killing Is My Business, great tune, great fast, vicious riffs in it, and it's all about the Punisher, which is cool. One of my favorite comic book characters from when I was a kid. And yeah, the opening tune, Love to Death, man, this is just, there's so much anger and speed, but there's also so much attention to the detail of writing a good, catchy song. And that's what I love about thrash metal. Give me the speed, give me the aggression, give me the hate, but give me something that I'm going to want to go back to and listen to over and over again. And Megadeth has been pretty damn good about that throughout their career. These guys are one of my top 10 favorite bands of all time. They've had a couple stinkers. They have, I admit it. But for the most part, these guys have been pretty, in my opinion, pretty damn consistent. And this is a killer album. That's my number one. I know I'm going to get hanged in the comments for that too. Oh, you love Megadeth, so whatever. Great album. There you go. Kiss my ass.
James
I believe
doesn't care what you say.
Or Set the World on Fire was also written around that time. I don't know why he didn't make the album, but I believe that Set the World on Fire was written back then in 84, 85.
Oh, Set the World on Fire goes back to this era? That doesn't shock me. That song is so vicious.
James doesn't care what you say after you. That's Overkill. So. All right, so James, thanks, and we're gonna head over. I think Cat Ralphus was the next in order, and we're gonna see what he's got for 2 and 1 tonight.
All right, my number two is Overkill. Here's my autographed copy by Bobby Blitz.
Nice.
This is my favorite Overkill album. Only a hair over Taking Over because I seen him on Taking Over tour with Nuclear Assault at L'Amour's, but I love that album. It's got a thicker kind of production, but something about this first album, I just love it. I goes back like in '84. I was a huge Iron Maiden fan. Power Slave, everything from Power Slave down was just perfect. They were probably my favorite active band. Them and Priest. I mean, Sabbath was kind of defunct at the time after Born Again, so it was in that era where I was looking for heavier stuff, but not necessarily heavier, but just kind of stuff that in that world. So I got into like Manowar and Jag Panzer and Omen. But then when I found like Metallica and stuff, it was like Fistful of Metal and this Overkill album and the Metal Church. They were like the first ones that I really hooked on to. And then when I got into Merciful Fate, things got like really evil, and I got more into Slayer and Venom and stuff. But Overkill was like a really great transition band from Iron Maiden to something heavier. And I just love every song on the album. It's a perfect. I love the way he sings back then. He's got deeper voice at times, and he's not as screechy throughout like the way he is maybe in some of the later albums. But yeah, it's my favorite Overkill album. I love it. And then my number one, I absolutely love but it's my second favorite album. I like Eternal Devastation a tiny bit more, but Infernal Overkill, this hangs in a frame in my house, signed by Mike and Schmier. I had to put it in a frame, but it's a perfect thrash album. I love all the riffs on this. Just looking at the songs, everybody's been talking about them. I mean, there's not a bad song on them. Black Death, what a strong way to end the album. An Invisible Force to start the album. Death Trap, all the sick riffs on this. Tormentor, and it's funny how Kreator and Destruction both have a song called Tormentor on their debut
right,
full lengths, and they're both from Germany.
Classic.
And Kreator was called Tormentor before they changed the name to Kreator. But yeah, I just think this album is unbelievable. And I think if you're a fan of this Kreator album and the Destruction album, then I think you're going to be a big fan of what Phantom is putting out soon, because it's definitely a 1985 feel, and everybody should check that out. All right, that's it.
Thanks, man.
all right. So we're gonna head back over to see Mr. McEntee and get his take on what his top two records are.
Cool. First thing I've just been pondering on is about the remixing of what Megadeth, and I think you even said, did you guys say Destructions was remixed too, or
No, remastered. It's really good remastered. It's more thick. It's like the drums.
Well, that's what I want to talk about, because I usually really don't like it when they do that, because to me it takes away all the essence of the album that made it good. But maybe it's just because these albums, I was I mean, I don't think I bought every single one at the day it came out or whatever, but I bought them all around that time when they came out, and I really like the fact. I like the way they sound. I like the way the raw production is. I like the way that it shows the sign of the times where they were trying to figure things out, and it almost made each release sound more original, because they weren't following this quote unquote template of how thrash is supposed to sound. Because to me, it almost ruins the music every time a style of music, and all of a sudden, this is the production you're supposed to get for it. That's bullshit. It's like each band's supposed to get their own production that represents the way they are as a band. It's not supposed to follow these guidelines and stuff. And I think it just bums me out, because when they do these remasters and remixes of the album, they try to bring it up to the current standard. And it's like, but the album was good because it wasn't part of any standard. They were making the rules back then, or trying to do it their own way. They weren't trying to just be part of the group of thrash bands now, or a group of death metal bands, or whatever. So I'm really actually against that. I mean, I understand as a musician, you want your album to sound as best as possible. And maybe when you're young, you don't know how to do it. But there's also just a beauty of having that juvenileness to the music And most of the time, if you listen to it, for me at least, almost every band's best album is when they didn't know what the hell they were doing in the studio, but somehow they came out with a good album. I mean, I don't know if that's just the thing. Like maybe someone like Ed Farsley might be able to elaborate. I mean, is that like a way to you look at it, or what do you think?
I agree with you 100%. I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Yeah, I understand the remastering and all that, but you are absolutely right. The moment was captured. The moment should be treasured and not changed. Re-recording albums, remastering. No, stick with the original. I don't care how bad it sounds.
I mean,
even if Suspect Fool.
I mean, if
the original.
yes, yes. I mean that's a true testament if you could handle that production.
Yeah.
But the fact is I mean, I can even understand if they do a re-recording or a live version. It sounds a little different, whatever. But I just don't like it when they take that original master and try to update it too much. I mean, I think there's minor things you could do to update it without over taking away its personality. But I don't know, it's just a craw that I have about stuff. I'm always just like, I just want to hear the original, the one I grew up with listening to, the one that made the impact on me as a young kid and inspired me to want to create music and stuff. So I don't know. That's my my soapbox on that.
Yeah.
These are the topics that bother me. The world could be going to shit, but I'm worried about productions of original thrash albums of the 80s.
Yes. Better thing to worry about, actually. All right. So what do you got at number 2, John?
Okay, my like I said, these were really all difficult because the last 3 are all excellent albums in my top. But I go number 2. I go Megadeth. Killing Is My Business. It's a fantastic album. It really is. The riffing, the aggression. There's just a magic on that album that when you hear it, when I first heard it, it was just like, holy crap, Dave Mustaine's really going for it, and I mean the lineup on the album is great. All the playing is top notch, but it's just so aggressive and pissed off. And for me, and I know it's not a popular opinion, but I just think Megadeth never reached that level again ever of just really, really going for it on the albums. It's like he kind of made his point with this album that he could do it, and then he started to kind of slowly try to make it more accessible and kind of follow, say, a little bit of the Metallica path. And I just, it's a shame because it bummed me out about Metallica, changing so much, later on too, of course, is a bummer for me. And Megadeth, I mean, Peace Sells, it's a good album. It's not bad. It has some moments, but you could see the cracks in the sound going. And then each one, it just gets more and more commercial sounding and stuff overall. And for me, it's just not what I'm looking for in my thrash. I mean, I like catchy. I like heavy. I like, I mean, I don't mind good quality song structures and stuff, but I just don't want, once it gets too commercial and too nice, and his tone's never been the same. Never as good as it is on Killing Is My Business. I mean, that was the pinnacle of his vocals. So even on Peace Sells, it's like, I hate to say it, but man, he's whining on that album a lot. It's just like it went from aggression to like kind of whining like a little boy, who got his like, candy stolen at school or something. It went from like one of the most aggressive attacking vocal performances on Killing Is My Business to that was just a real bummer. But it just gets softer and softer as time goes on. It's a real shame because I'm a big fan of, I think Dave Mustaine's an awesome guitar player and riff writer. He's really great, but I do Killing Is My Business is easily the pinnacle of his career, in my opinion. I know probably everybody in the world will probably disagree, but I don't give a fuck either. That's how I feel about it.
I think just to jump in on what you're saying, I think it has to do with them for they had the first album on Combat and they suddenly got jacked up to Capitol Records, which is a huge label on the second album. I think if they had given out one more album on Combat, PSLs would have been a totally different album.
That's a good point. That's a good point, I think. I think that's a good point.
I think if I remember correctly, it was already recorded. It was just mixed with the Capitol deal, or did they re-record it? I don't know about it.
No, the
I
Capitol
always thought it was
about
what
that,
you said. Yeah.
but like
Yeah,
most of the best songs
because
on
I mean,
the
go
demo,
ahead.
most of the best songs on P Cells were hold offs from the demo, riffs and stuff, or even a couple full songs that from the demos that they reworked and redid. Those are the best songs on that album because they
Even the best songs on So Far So Good is that one, is a hook, hook and mouth or whatever from the
oh
demo.
yeah yep.
But the thing was, though, is that even with the even if they would have stayed on Combat Records for the next one, he already recorded those vocal tracks and the song Peace Cells, even though I loved it when it came out and it's a good song, and I'm even actually in the video moshing in the video because it was filmed at L'Amour's, but the the vocals are already a downgrade big time from Killing Is My Business, in my opinion.
Yeah, Yancha's in that video too. We used to pause it all the time on him. He was at that L'Amour show, and you could see he was like a real young looking kid at the time.
Yeah, young Yanch.
Who was that? Who was?
Rob Yench from Morpheus Ascends, who was actually later in Incantation for a bit.
Yeah. Anyway, so leaves my number one here is Destruction Infernal Overkill. This album is just amazing. I mean, I love the way it sounds. I love the raw production. I love the riffing. I mean, this is a riff album. I mean, the riffs on this album just crush your soul. I mean, I think Ralphus was saying that Eternal Devastation is his favorite, and I think as an overall album sound wise, it's a better album. And of course, Curse the Gods is a great song, but no, the riffs on this album are better. Infernal Overkill.
I think it's the drums that make it a little bit different for me. I do. Someone else mentioned the drum sound, and I think it's a little bit better sounding an album. But I think song wise, they're both perfect and they're like neck and neck. It's that's that little bit of a sound is all I would put over it. But
Yeah,
really anything.
I think I mean, both albums are great albums, but I just think this one, those riffs, they just cut through really good. It's just, they're catchy. They're mean. They're catchy. You can just tell that they were really pissed writing. And man, do I love a band writing music when they're pissed. I mean, that's the best time of any band, no matter what style they are. When they're pissed, that's when they're going, like they really want to prove something and tell the world to kind of fuck off kind of thing. And I think Infernal Overkill is pretty much a masterpiece. It's I would say it's my favorite Destruction album.
Mine as well.
Yep.
If it wasn't for Eternal Devastation, it would be super easy to choose this one as my favorite. Eternal Devastation is close. It's close. Curse the Gods is a strong song, but still, this Infernal Overkill is just better, man. Yeah, after her Death Trap again today, I was just like, oh, okay, it's just so good. Just rocks. But yeah, so those are my top two.
I think the reason why this is interesting that you're talking about is because I think Eternal Devastation, for me, the little reason why it's not my favorite compared to Infernal Overkill is that Smear has started with that high pitch vocal, and he does it so much on that album. I guess it's his signature vocals, but I mean he does it so much on.
It's just so unique sound, and nobody had you could hear his vocals and be like, oh, that's Destruction. I mean, all the early thrash bands, that was a great thing about them. Like every one of these bands we're talking about, all the vocalists were so different, and that whole wave of thrash back in that day, what was so great is how they were all different, and it was like that in the early days of death metal too. You look at the first 20 bands you listen to, they all had a little bit different sound, and then at one point everybody just started sounding as guttural as they could, and it just got flooded with on nobody sounding original, like you couldn't pick out who was who. But back then, I love all the way everybody's vocals from back then was so cool. But Miller changed a lot too.
I feel that he does it a little too much on Eternal Devastation. I feel if he would do it more towards the first album, I would like it more. But it's their band, it's their recording. So
Yeah, I think it's good. But I just think the riffing's better. I mean, overall, riff for riff on Turtle Devastation, Infernal Overkill. Infernal Overkill, so to me, as a guitar player, it's just like when I listen to Infernal Overkill, almost every riff I wish I would have wrote, you know?
Okay.
Or even the solos, man. Like every destruction solo, you automatically know it's destruction. Like that, like very sharp. Like I don't know how to describe it. I'm a guitar player too, and I don't know how to describe a destruction solo, but it's just great. It has a very unique sound.
It's almost like you could feel how pissed off and how they're going for it excels even their talent on that album.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like Dave
bro.
Mustaine on Killing Is My Business.
Yes.
It has like that
Yeah.
same sort of feel. They both have that real crisp riff sound, and everything sounds perfect.
Yeah.
That's the thing about all these albums. Kreator's the only one out of these that's a little bit premature as far as, them at their most aggressive and whatnot. But the Overkill is like that's them, breaking the rules. They're going for it. They're not trying to fit in with the other bigger bands like Anthrax, Metallica, whatever, around that time. They were sounding like themselves. It had a good mixture of the old school of metal mixed with the thrash stuff. Like it was just a magical time. And I think for all these albums, it's like you're listening to them at their most excited. Like they're going to band practice writing songs, being like, hell yeah, we came up with this killer song. Let's do this kind of thing. It's not that like, worrying about if people are going to like it or is it going to be catchy enough or any of that bullshit, which it just ruins music sometimes when they over worry about these the crowd pleasing stuff. It's like back then it seemed like all those bands is more trying to push forward, not hold back. At a certain point, all thrash bands, most of them started pulling back a little bit and making it more easy listening. It's like, no, thrash is supposed to be all out, pissed off, go for it. Don't worry about if you go too far. That's better, It'll work better in the long run, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
I remember seeing old pictures back in the day of Dave Mustaine actually wearing old Destruction shirt, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He acknowledged them.
Bobby Blitz is actually the only thrash metal vocalist I know back then that's actually classically trained. He comes from a musical family, so he is classically trained. But I think he did more classes around taking over because his vocal, like you, John, said, changed around taking over because he's classically trained. He did vocal courses, I guess, that changes the vocal from the first album.
Yes, I mean, I used to watch Overkill play at Lemoore's quite often around the time of Feel the Fire and the crossover Taking Over. It's actually quite weird because they were really good before Taking Over came out. And as soon as Taking Over came out, it's almost like the set watered down a little bit. It was like they started to get. I just remember having a noticeable difference at the show, watching them Feel the Fire and was it Taking Over? I think was the next one. But
I forgot to show this shirt from '85. This is my old original shirt.
Nice.
Nice.
It's such a great
Charlie.
It's like a half shirt now.
There's
Charlie.
a funny story I have about when Taken Over came out is I remember picking it up and I was super pumped about it because I loved Feel the Fire and I listened to it and I was devastated and how wimpy it was. I was just like, no, don't do this. And I remember I had the shirt that I had from tour. I had the Feel the Fire shirt and the Taken Over album, and I went to one of my friends in school, this girl that was a poser, that was a big Bon Jovi fan and stuff like that at the time, and I gave it to her. I said, "Please take my album and shirt because you'll probably relate to this more than I can."
Oh boy.
Ouch.
What was weird was that In Union We Stand was the hit. It was like the single. It was the video. It was the video. So that was the thing you were seeing on Headbangers Ball at the time. And when you look at that one song, it was probably like the weakest song on the album. Even though I think it's a good song, but it was like it definitely had like a commercial kind of feel. But the rest of Taken Over is fucking blistering and just as thrashy as the first album.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know it's an unpopular opinion, but it happened, and it's and I don't really like taking over in general, but at the time it was actually really bumming because I loved Feel the Fire so much when that album was out, and the last thing I wanted to hear was them to be a little bit more subdued and not quite as I don't know, aggressive in my opinion. I think a lot of it was Bobby Blitz's vocals were just a lot more subdued on March whatever, taking over, whatever it was.
It
I
was
can't
a
remember
lot,
'cause-
lot slicker production on
Yeah.
taking over
Yeah.
too. It was a more
Mm.
expensive production.
So let's
yeah,
move on to get JC's picks here as we move
Hey,
through.
back at it. Where I was. Megadeth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my number 2. Like everyone has said so far, it's the most vicious Megadeth record. After that, they definitely started slowing the pace down and going more soft. Maybe because of Capitol, maybe because of I don't know. But yeah, that's peak Dave Mustaine when he was super fucking angry and also tried to prove to the world that he had other things to show and that he didn't depend on Metallica. And that album is fantastic, man. From the riffs to the drumming, like was saying, Gar Samuelson was a fucking insane drummer. I've seen videos of him like super high, nodding and falling asleep, and then he does like the in the drum. That's the Chris Poland, fantastic guitar player, also from the jazz scene first. Incredible playing those. That's another great mega touch. The songwriting and also something that I feel like super impressed about this is playing guitar and singing those songs and at double the speed of the album live. That's insane. If you go watch any VHS super old ass videos from that era, they played the songs twice as fast as the records, and Mustaine
Yes.
singing and playing solos and singing even more aggressive than on the album live. That must have been insane. You guys are older than me. You guys
Yep.
saw Megadeth back in the day.
That's
I don't know how that was, but I envy you guys. I wish I could have been in one Megadeth
Quickly,
concert
at
from that
Farsley, did
era.
you see the Megadeth show where they filmed that video? I think Possessed also played. It was Possessed, the Megadeth show.
Yeah. Was it? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was
I
something.
remember you told me how fast they play live. That's because they were on so much fucking speed. To be quite honest. Yeah.
Of course, man.
And I remember when they pulled up to Lemoore, because I used to go to Lemoore when I was like 14, 15, and hang out in the afternoon and wait for the bands to show up. And I remember when Megadeth pulled up to one of those two shows with me and John were talking about, they came in a station wagon, they pulled up outside and literally fell out. I remember when they opened the door, the two of them, I think it was Chris and Barb, were lying down in the back seat, and they just lying there, just wasted out of their fucking minds. They were fucking amazing.
Hell yeah, man. No, and
I've
something
seen him.
that-
I've seen him at Lemoore's too, but I think it was with Possessed. But I think it was a different tour because I seen him on P Cells, and it was Possessed final show with the original lineup, and it was like the second night at Lemoore's, and it was Megadeth was headlining, and it was a horror. I guess it hadn't even came out yet because they were broken up by then.
Hey guys, I gotta leave for a few minutes. I'm getting a call from work. I will come back in a few minutes. I gotta figure this out.
I just got yeah.
bro.
Yeah,
We gotta get your top two picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Lemoore show.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back, guys.
Okay.
Wait,
All
I
right.
lost it. All right.
So Jay,
That Lemoore show with Megadeth and the Possessed, that was Possessed on Beyond the Gates, and Megadeth was like right in between Killing Is My Business, and I think they just must have finished the Peace Cells album or something, because I
Yeah,
don't-
so the one that you went to was the one where Slayer actually came out, like unannounced.
yes, I think that
Is that-
was no,
That
was that the same
Oh
show?
no, that was a Possessed show. I remember it was Possessed, but I don't know if it was Megadeth and Possessed.
Yeah, I don't think it was Megadeth and Possessed, that show. This was a different one. This was just Megadeth and Possessed. There was another one later on that Slayer came out with. I think that was in April.
The
This
band
was
Seduced
winter
was
time
the
over summer
first band. The
vacation.
band Seduced. The
What's
band
that?
Seduced was the first band. The band Seduced was on first, then it was Possessed, and then Megadeth on Peace Cells tour. And then I seen Megadeth again on that tour, opening up for Alice Cooper in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, it's tough to remember for sure. I mean, we're talking years ago now. That was
Way too long ago.
Damn, man, it must have been awesome to be there.
When we
like,
when
those
we
shows.
when
You
we
guys
were
lived the
all
fucking
when we were
era.
all JC's age.
Yeah.
yes.
Even
We're
younger,
very
I was
fortunate
like,
to be in the New York
I was like
area to get to
16,
see a lot of those
17.
shows.
Yeah.
I can't
Totally.
recall, but Chris Poland, he has dislocated either his pinky finger or his index finger, so it stands
He
in a weird
plays like
position.
this,
So
like super.
so he can go a
That's
fret
what-
up longer than the rest.
That's when
Yeah.
he fell out of. That's when he fell out of the station wagon. He did that.
That's from his heroin.
No, man, it also, something that's also very impressive about like that era of Megadeth is that okay, Killing Is My Business was done, but even before he had already written songs from like the albums that were like from Peace Tale, So Far So Good. He had already written songs from that shit, so he was crazy, dude. So yeah, that's my number 2. And number 1, well, I was the only guy here that put Kreator on the number 1, but it's for a very special reason, and that's the influence. Like, okay, maybe I'm the younger guy here, maybe I will say this, and you guys will be like, "Oh, I live like that." No, nobody like that. I don't know, but you can hear the influence of Kreator in the early death metal shit. Like, I don't know, I love bands from Sweden like Merciless, Morbid, stuff like that, and you can definitely listen to the massive influence create. Obviously, other bands too, like Slayer, Venom, the older shit, but Kreator. It's one of the first bands I think that ever did like the vocals in records. So that was very, very cool. I love Cry War, I love Dying Victims, Total Death. It's super raw, a young band that was like just starting out and like testing the waters. And of course, you can notice the influence from Slayer and Exodus in there, like in some riffs, like someone before here mentioned.
Yeah.
You can
And Celtic
listen to
Frost.
it. Yeah, but it's a very raw record. It's fantastic and it's very influential for more extreme metal to come that came afterwards. So that's very important for me. And I also like that record because I like see myself reflected in that era. Like, okay, these guys were starting out, they were looking at I remember this Mil Petrosa interview after a TV show where he says like Slayer, 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 or something like that when they ask him about the influences and stuff. So I'm like I don't know, I feel identified with that kind of stuff.
Well, one thing I wanted to bring up, which is something that you should note when you listen to the Endless Pain, is Ventor has the greatest like growly things, like like these laugh things he does in the song, which is
That
really
rules,
funny.
man.
Actually, it's like I
Yeah.
think was it in Cry War? He's like Cry War,
Cry War.
It's super cheesy,
Yeah.
but it's awesome, you know.
It's fantastic, man.
So JC,
It's so fast, so
not
pissed off.
really not the only one that picked Kreator, because I got Miles as only as number 1 pick. Miles is Berggren is of course a regular on our channel for the most part, and he did also pick Kreator for his favorite. So you're not the only one, JC.
I totally hear that old Kreator. I totally hear that old Kreator in your early album that you did in Phantom and your EP. And I hear that. I hear like that early Kreator kind of sound before he gets scratchy on like Terrible Certainty. But then on the newest album that you did, I hear it's like Kreator and mixed with Destruction with the higher pitch scream. So you can hear how they're both big influences on you.
Yeah, man.
For sure.
I came in on
Thanks.
Kreator on Renewal. Renewal was my first impression of Kreator. I was like,
Sorry.
it was kind of, I got a kind of a, when I heard Pleasure to Kill.
I remember
man.
when that one came out, everybody's like, "What's up with the new Kreator record?"
I was just
we
thinking.
He was
hated it.
singing. He had that barking voice
Oh,
he was
God, yeah.
using on that. So strange. I've
And
actually grown to like
afterwards,
that
they
record
made
over the
this
years.
masterpiece, man. Like
Yeah,
Endless
yeah,
Pain
that's the
was
best
influential, but this is the shit, man.
Yeah.
Yes, or the best ever.
Everything got sharper on Terrible Certainty. That like once they hit
Yes.
Terrible Certainty, then it was real sharp and vicious. But something about those first two Kreator albums,
Oh yeah.
there's definitely magic in that.
So what's your favorite song? What's your favorite song off that album, JC? Off the Kreator?
From Endless Pain,
Yeah, from Endless Pain, yeah.
Cry War.
Cry War. Okay, cool. All right. So we're winding it down here. And who do we got left to vote?
Ed.
We got Ed.
And I'm back. Yep.
We've got Tony Dio and me to round this thing out tonight. So Ed, what do you got here?
All right. Number 2, Overkill, Feel the Fire. Overkill are probably my favorite long-term all-time thrash band. One of the first bands I ever ordered a demo from in 1980, early 84, when they put out the Feel the Fire demo.
Yeah.
That was still one of my all-time favorite demos. Saw them, as John mentioned, numerous times back at Lemoore. First show I ever saw at Lemoore, they were headlining.
Wow.
Just the fucking greatest band. Seen them so many times. Still love the new albums they're putting out. Feel the Fire is my favorite Overkill album. I think, like I said, I love a lot of their albums. Taking Over is great. Under the Influence is great. Years of Decay, my second favorite Overkill album. But Feel the Fire is always my favorite album. I lived and breathed that demo EP and Feel the Fire album for those, back then, those days.
Yeah, because the EP has that's Fatally the Shallow. It's quite a different vibe to the EP from '84.
That's one of my all-time favorite EPs, and that is the song Overkill is my favorite Overkill song, and all the versions of that. The EP is definitely the best version of the song, but this album is just phenomenal from start to finish. Every song is just classic thrash metal. The songs from the Feel the Fire demo. Not Feel the Fire demo, from the Power and Black demo, where we recorded on this album, and just a fucking brilliant album. The songs, like I said, I can't even pick songs because every song is phenomenal on here. Number 1 album, obviously, Destruction, Infernal Overkill. I've got my 40-year-old Infernal Overkill t-shirt that I can still fucking wear.
Hell yeah.
Got a couple of holes in it, but I can still wear it.
Awesome.
Didn't cut the sleeves off 40 years ago, so
Amazing. You can fit in the same t-shirt from 40 years ago. How'd you do it, buddy?
healthy living and clean, healthy eating and clean lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
A lot of beer and cigarettes.
There you go. All right. Yeah, I mean, pretty much Destruction and Feel the Fire, or Infernal Overkill and Feel the Fire, 2 of my all-time classic, probably top 10, top 15 albums of all time. Just the pinnacles. This album is just, we've all been saying how phenomenal it is, and it is. I love Destruction. I love the EP, Sentence of Death EP, when it came out. I remember, reading about them. I saw those pictures before of Kreator and overseas fanzine, sometimes in Germany. I'd have to try and translate words and stuff, and just reading about them in magazines. And Destruction and Kreator and Sodom. I love the German metal scene. I mean, those are the bands, Kreator and Sodom and Destruction, as I said before, were the first 2 to break out of Germany. But those 3 bands created a scene, and that sound, that German thrash sound, is the best to me. I love the Canadian
Germany sound, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love the German thrash sound, the Canadian thrash sound, and then the U.S. thrash sound. It's just the way it is. And I love
Razor.
Yes, Razor, Sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Aggression,
Aggression, yes.
And so many more. We'll have to go on about that. But yeah, I mean, this album is just amazing. I mean, another album I lived and breathed at that time. Every song is just, I could go into breaking down different songs, but every song is phenomenal. Every song is the pinnacle. Destruction, I remember back in, and you'll remember this too, John, how many times Destruction was supposed to play in New York City back in 85, 86, and 87. Probably 5, 6 times they were scheduled. We didn't know when we got to the damn place, they canceled again.
Well, wasn't there? They did play the ball.
Exactly. That was the first time they finally made it over here.
But that was what, when the Mad Butcher EP came out or something, right? I think
exactly. It wasn't until then they finally made it. But
they played with Overkill at Lemoore's on Eternal Devastation, right?
What was that? No, they never on Eternal Devastation. So. Yeah.
Wait, okay, I missed that then.
Yeah, the Eternal Devastation, Mad Butcher around then.
Yeah,
I remember I was going to go and I was in the hospital.
Yeah. Well, there were so many times supposed to come over here and never made it. And it's just, I remember I saw them at Streets. Well, we'll get into other shows, but
I seen him at the street. I was at the street show too for release for McEntee.
Yeah, yeah.
The Crow Mag with the Crow Mags.
Yep. That was a fucking wild show. I interviewed Spirit Mike.
You almost forget about Streets
Oh, hell
sometimes.
yeah.
What
Oh, man, I never forget
how
about
many shows there I went to, yeah.
Oh, that place was amazing. You have a lot of shows there.
Yeah.
Talking about Streets in New Rochelle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, one of my customers was a DJ there.
Oh yeah, cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
That's not fucking.
Oh yeah.
That was a legendary place.
Death was all I saw Death there. I saw
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
we did a big
Brian
band.
Eno
Wow.
was in there.
DBC, Sacred Reich.
Oh, okay, Sacred Reich.
Wow.
Yeah, I was at that
Yeah,
show.
we played there with that Morbid Angel Immolation show. We played at Streets.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great place. So there you have it. My number one album. Infernal-
Excellent. So now we're gonna kick this over to Tony Dio and see what he's got. And I'm trying to keep score here. I got a couple of them totaled up already.
If you had told me last week when you gave us this assignment that I'd have Megadeth at number 2, I would have said nah, because I'm just kind of a casual Megadeth fan. I do like a lot of their stuff, but I've never really like gravitated to this record a lot. And man, I listened to it today. I listened to this morning, and then at work today, I listened to the remastered version that James was holding up. I listened to it twice, and I was just like, God, this is killer. I mean, I've just been missing out on this. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the production's not as good on this one. I don't know what it is, but I went back and I was just like, wow, it's got some great stuff on. I mean, and I was thinking, man, Dave really had something to prove too. He had to go out and say, he got booted out of Metallica, and he wanted to come back with, just a kick-ass record. And it is, I mean, it brought back some memories listening to it, because I hadn't listened to it in so long. But I mean, the title track is great. I love Skull Beneath the Skin, Rattlehead. I mean, Looking Down the Cross is great. I even like that cover of These Boots. And so yeah, I mean, I put this at number 2. And I was just sitting here looking at the credits for a second ago, and I noticed that it's got in here in the thanks. He's even got thanks to Metallica for proving the true blood of metal runs through our veins. So he still gave them a shout out in the CD. And I had this on vinyl for years, and actually sold it a couple of years ago. I sold my Megadeth records that I had, and because I had most of them on CD, but I didn't have this on CD. And about a couple of months ago, I found this, and this is an original combat pressing, Japanese made CD, first pressing with the original These Boots on it. I found it for like $5 at like a Ed McKay's store, and these things are like $80 on Discogs now. It's crazy.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
But I'm glad I got it back in the collection. That was cool to have, and I'm glad I've rediscovered it now, because I just, like I said, I would have probably had it at maybe 3 or 4 last week. So that brings me to number 1. I'm going to go with Overkill, Feel the Fire. This is my favorite Overkill record. I discovered Overkill by college radio station WKNC in Raleigh. They would have Chainsaw Rock on Friday nights, and I used to record it. And they were playing Rotten to the Core when this album was new. And so I knew that song. And then when the next record, when Taking Over came out, they started playing In Union We Stand. So I was kind of familiar with that. And then, of course, there was a video for that. But I saw them open for Megadeth on the Peace Sales tour. They played in Raleigh. And it was Megadeth, Overkill, and a crossover band called the Necrox. And really good show. And the next day I went out I was going to go buy Take It Over. And I think I bought this on vinyl, and I bought Taking Over on cassette. And the same day. But this is just over the years, this is the one I always go back to. I love a lot of stuff these guys did. I even like some of the groove metal stuff they did in the 90s. I Hear Black. I like I Hear Black.
Such a great album.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's kind of got a doominess about it. It's just dark. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but I do like the record. But yeah, this record's got so many great. I mean, I love Raise the Dead. It's like one of my favorite songs by Overkill of all time. Of course, Rotten to the Core, There's No Tomorrow. I mean, Hammerhead's great. I mean, Feel the Fire, it's just such a killer track with Dee Dee's bass part at the beginning just kicking in. And the song Overkill, of course, is great. But yeah, it's not a bad track on it. It's a thrash and speed metal classic for sure. So yeah, Overkill takes my number one position.
Excellent. Tony, before we go tonight and I give my picks, what you got a YouTube channel you started. What's it all about? Let's hear about it.
Just showing some stuff in my collection. It's Tony Dio's Metal Emporium on YouTube.
Okay.
Trying to get some content up. I got a few things in the can and releasing a little bit at a time. So hopefully it'll keep it going. And it just, I'm just showing stuff in the collection, and kind of each one will be a subject, either be on a certain band or a certain genre or something.
Mm-hmm.
I put a couple out about compilation records, like New Wave of British Metal comps and stuff like that. So yeah, just my nerd, me showing off my stuff and and expressing my nerdiness to the world.
That's great.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, check it out,
you guys.
Like and subscribe
for Tony Dio, and
yeah, maybe I'll move. Maybe I'll move up and get a Zoom account where I can do some interviews with some people every once in a while too.
That'd be a good idea. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You can interview Killer.
Maybe, yeah.
Like I can interview Keeler. Yeah.
Some famous dude like Pardo or something. Anyhow, so
cool.
I guess it's my turn to go. I'm gonna go with Kreator at number 2. I listened to that on my early morning walk today. That was the first one I revisited this morning, and the reason I put that at number 2, I love the song Total Death, but man, it's time to raise the flag of hate. I just love that song. They still go back to that song too, and they don't play a lot of their old stuff, but I've seen them do Flag of Hate not too long ago, and it's always bringing up that flag, and it's pretty.
That was my favorite song they did all night.
Then Tormentor, I love that song, and I mean, I always liked the German thrash. I think back in the day, I mean, I loved the American stuff too, but it was it was like, other than like Slayer, it was the more evil version of the thrash metal, and I guess that's what I was going.
One thing with U.S. thrash metal, one that I think was really good was Dark Angel. That's one.
Oh yeah, man! Now we're talking.
Forget about that. You always think of the more polished stuff, but
we're going to be talking about Dark Angel next Wednesday.
And the first Exodus was pretty evil.
Yeah,
and the Overkill actually has some satanic.
Oh yeah, but anyhow, I always thought about that with the German thrash, with Overkill, and not with Overkill, with Kreator, and of course with Destruction. So I'm going to go with, I guess, with everybody. A lot of other people picked it tonight. I didn't know how well. This has been across the board. It's been up and down and all around. But I've got Destruction at number 1. I listen to that a couple times a day, and man, Bestial Invasion. What a great fucking song. The Black Death, the Invincible Force, just his vocal style, and just everything else. And Smear's still going at it today, and Destruction's still putting out quality records. How many out? Does anyone know how many Destruction albums are there now? But they just dropped a new one a couple weeks ago. And
ever since they got back together, they've been so productive. They put out an album every 2 years.
Just about.
So it's just a shame that Mike's not there.
It is a shame that he's gone, but
it really is.
But Destruction is going to be my number 1, and I've actually been doing my math as we've been doing the episode tonight, and I can give you the rundown. Well, coming in last is our other German band, Kreator, with 14 points. Of course, James's did not count. If it did, it would be at 18 points, but it would still be in 4th place. And coming in 3rd place is Overkill with 20 points. Coming in 2nd place is Megadeth with 23 points. And our winner tonight is Destruction with 26 points. So I would like the viewers that are watching tonight to please put your top 4 in the comments. And please take a moment to hit like on this video. It helps a lot. And to subscribe to the channel if you're watching this. Just take that second that does to subscribe. It really helps us out if you like what we're doing on the channel. And before we wrap things up tonight, John, so what's going on your camp? And then we'll talk to JC to wrap it up a little bit tonight. John, what's going on? You just wrapped up a gig at the Philly Decibel Beer and Metal
Metal and
Fest.
Beer Fest, yes.
Yep.
That was awesome. We had a blast. Basically, we played the pre-show and then we hung out for the weekend and just had a good time. A lot of friends there. Just a good thing. What was it? We have MDF coming up where we're doing I Want to Go Gotha set, which I got to really start practicing for. That's gonna be a tough one.
An album.
Then we have European tour coming up in June and end of May, June, pretty much right after MDF. We fly right over to Europe to get ready for that. And then what do we have? I was at the Quebec Death Fest or something like that. It is.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, we're playing that in July. I can't remember 18th. I can't remember the day. And then we also just got announced for Blades of Steel. On the was it 27th? 29th? I can't remember. Too many dates in my head.
That one in Milwaukee, the Blades of Steel, or
yeah, it's in
man, we got invited this year, but one of our guitarists is missing one visa and it's fucked up. So maybe for the next one.
Yeah, that would be a good one to play. And then we what's it? Then we're doing that September Negro Fest in Brazil, which I'm really psyched about too. A great lineup with Candlemass playing, Watain, a bunch of killer Satan's
Celtic,
playing. It'll be a really fun show. I think Satan's playing that one. I can't remember. All these just happened like the last couple of days, so I don't really.
You got a busy year planned for Incantation.
What's that?
You got a busy year planned for Incantation.
Yes. And one thing I wanted to bring up about these 4 albums is it was really difficult. I know I said it before, but there's really no loser in this one whatsoever because they're all really high up and the importance of all 4 of these albums can't be understated, I don't think. I think they're all really, very fundamentals of what thrash metal has become, and it was cool to be a part of it. I was just pissed off because like it's not an easy call at all.
That was my whole point.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, the last one that you skipped out on us that you picked the episode with Carnivore and Celtic Frost, that was the fucking hardest one ever. And you didn't even come on it with us.
Yeah, me and him picked it out, kind of put it together, and he got busy getting ready to do real business. Right?
Yeah, that was a tough one.
That was the worst. That was the hardest.
So what's
one.
part 3, guys? Next week is what's the albums?
We got Dark Angel, Darkness Descends, Exodus, Bonded by Blood, Exciter, Long Live the Loud, and Anthrax. Spreading Disease.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All 1985 still.
And
what a year.
And our special guest, JC, tell us a little bit about your band. For those that haven't watched it earlier, didn't watch the other episode, which will be coming up. I don't know if this will go up first or that'll go up first, but tell us a little bit about Phantom.
Okay, well, we are an old school speed and a thrash metal band from Mexico. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We'll just play what we like. With all the old school influences, like I mentioned before, Destruction, Kreator, Sodom, Razor, Exciter, Venom, etc. We are currently in the process of releasing our second album, Tyrants of Wrath, which comes out in like 2 weeks on the 25th of this month through High Roller Records. And we're looking forward to our first European tour later this year on September, starting in Germany and ending in, I don't know where yet, but around Mallorca in Spain, in a
cool.
festival. In some festival by Wacken, some festival they have named Full Metal Holiday or something like that.
All right.
And yeah, that's it. You can find us in most platforms and also buy the physical music. We have vinyls, cassettes, CDs, etc. Everything through the High Roller Records page. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being our special guest tonight, and thanks for Dustin Hardman for setting up the interview with JC and helping out the Rock Fantasy Files. And James, you got any gigs with Crucial Pain lined up?
No, Crucial Pain is a little inactive on the gig scene at the moment because we're worrying about recording at the moment. So we're in the process of that. There's going to be a Crucial Pain EP at some point. I can't give you a timeline when, but we are in the process of recording with our buddy Mario from Reaper and Assault. So
nice.
Yeah.
And I guess that about wraps it up. If you're in the Orange County area, we're doing our Rock Fantasy 39th anniversary show. It'll be coming up on April 26th at the Warwick stage at Roosevelt Hall, which is an old prison, and it has a stage, and it was built by Eleanor Roosevelt. We have Damage Incorporated. We have Into the Void filling in for Show No Mercy because Leo, the guitar player, injured his hand, so they are dropped out, and Into the Void have shooed themselves in, and they actually have a guest vocalist that night. I got Final Siege also got added to the show, and they're going to be doing an original set and doing a Slayer set with one of the members of Show No Mercy. We've got Primeval Tribulation, which is Andy Eichhorn back doing the Primeval songs with the guys from Another Demon who are also on the bill: Firehaze, Sick Bay, Brutality, Burn the Ships. And I think I got most of it. Did I forget anybody, Ralph? Ralph's got the flyer right there.
You said Burn the Ships, right? Burn the
Ships, Brutality.
Oh, Spellbook.
Spellbook is there from York, PA. I'm glad you looked at it. I got so much going on in the brain, but Spellbook is there also, and it's a $20 cover charge, and it's going to be a very unique experience. This concert in this old prison, I felt like I was walking into the set of a Walking Dead movie when we went.
Dead Man Walking.
Check it out. So,
I will see you there.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
And record store day this week, so come out and buy some records at your record shops. Me and James are going to be gearing up for that at our stores. There's a lot of releases, and Tony Dio too. And you got Armageddon Productions coming up for Ed Farsley's got his big concert. Tell us about that, and then we're gonna log on out of here.
All right. Yeah, I'm Rage of Armageddon 8 Fest this Labor Day weekend. August 29th, 30th, 31st. 3 days of just the ultimate old school fucking thrash, death, power, heavy metal. Bands spanning over 45 years like Jagdpanzer, Bitch, and Hellstar. Bringing Darkness over here to Germany. And it's just going to be an awesome piece, doing an old school set with the original four members. Haven't played together in over 20 years. It's just going to be an awesome fest. Like, I know tickets on sale, VIP tickets on sale. It's just going to be 3 days of just the ultimate old school metal. Be celebrating 15 years of promoting shows in New York City. Just went all out this year.
Good to hear.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man.
So thanks for Obie, James.
Yeah, I just got to put in, we were talking about Destruction and US tour. The first time Destruction played in US was at Milwaukee Metal Fest 1 in 87.
I was there.
Okay. Well, once again, now we're logging off. Thank you for Obie, for James, for Count Ralphus, for JC, for John McEntee, Tony Dio, and Ed Farsley. We'll see you next time on the Rock Fantasy Files YouTube channel. Boom.
Thank you.